Welcome to episode 64 of the Arctic Crafts podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook and Etsy as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. I also have a podcast group on Ravelry where you go to enter make-alongs and potentially giveaways. I also have a Ko-fi page if you want to contribute to my shipping expenses for prices or hopefully some better equipment for the podcast. As you can see, the lighting is a bit weird today, and that's because I get light in from the window in the kitchen on this side, and then no light at all from the windows in front of me. So I'm using my ring light, but that doesn't stop the light coming in from the kitchen window. So I'll try to, when I show you stuff, I'll try to avoid this side. So you just have to live with this side being a bit too blown out. So that was the light. Not a big deal and maybe not interesting to you, but it's one of the things that annoy me, being a perfectionist. Whether you believe it or not, I'm actually a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like that. And I have some winners to announce today. I have a new make-along to announce today, and I have actually been dying a bit, so I have a shop update on Sunday that I'm going to show you. I have no FOs but too many whips, and I also got a birthday box from Canada from my bestie Sue, and I will be showing you what was in that box at the end, so you can skip it if you don't want to watch me showing off what I got for my birthday. My birthday isn't until Wednesday, I think it is, the 29th. And let's not talk about it, but I'm closer to 60 than to 50 on the 29th. But I can still say that I'm in my mid-50s, right? I can do that a couple of more years. So, I actually felt like podcasting today. I've had a rough period. Self-confidence issues, imposter syndrome, everything didn't feel like dyeing yarn because everyone's better at it than me. You know, that's what I've been feeling. But thankfully, Sue agreed to do a joint podcast 2 weeks ago, so I actually got the episode 63 a bit late, but it's there, and I'm going to try for Vlogtober, I think. I like doing vlogs because it's sort of a day in the life short. You don't have to talk about yarn or knitting necessarily, but stuff we do in October and trips to the supermarket, maybe road trips. If my youngest son comes to visit, I'll do some footage of that. And because Hubby's been on the podcast, I'll link the episode with Hubby down below, in case you're new here. And if you're new here, welcome. I never say that. Welcome back to my subscribers, and welcome if this is the first episode you watch. But I'll link that episode down below where I introduced my husband, because he's been on the podcast, it's easier for him to actually participate in Vlogtober. And he says, because I haven't felt all that, it's been feeling kind of strange to do this podcast. He says that he can do an episode with me, so we'll see what happens. And that was a lot to talk about nothing. Before I do anything else, we can talk about what I'm wearing. It's my V-back tee by I haven't written that down, but I'll be putting it on the screen. I prefer wearing it with a V in the back. I've tried to have it with a V in front, but I prefer the V in back. And it's written like that. It's supposed to be. It's called a V back t-shirt, after all. The yarn I've used is a mini set from Beehive Yarns. And I had just a bit to, I didn't have enough yarn for the entire thing, so at the end of the sleeves, it's too light, can you see that? This is a mini from my own shop, and this is Kate Celine, the bottom bit. So that was my V-back tee. And that was what I'm wearing, and I told you I was going to do a winner announcement for the Podiversary giveaway, and the prizes were a bag of your choice from my good friend Sue's Etsy store, and the other prize was a skein of yarn of your choice from my Etsy store. The reason why we did it like that, because I announced the giveaway on our joint episode when we were together, both me and Sue. So the bag was won by Kim Benke, and please contact me either on Instagram, on DM on Instagram, on Ravelry, or you can send me an email at arcticcraftsbybente@gmail.com. So that was the bag. The yarn was won by Sarah's Nana Knits. And the same goes for you. Contact me, Instagram, Ravelry, or email. So that was the Podiversary giveaway. Thank you to everyone who participated, and I really enjoyed reading your comments. And I told hubby that more than one of you enjoyed seeing him on the podcast. So, hint, hint, you might join me again, won't you? This light thing is bothering me because I have put up my winter curtains, and there's no light coming through them, because when it starts getting dark at night, I don't want to be staring into the darkness, so I have winter curtains. This, you can see the same curtains hanging in the window. It's that dark, and I have lights, fairy lights, in front of the curtains. I can take a picture afterwards and put in here when I do the edit, so you can see what the windows look like now. And the fairy lights, up until last year, I hung them on December 1st, and I took them down January 6th. That's the day we normally take down all the Christmas decorations. But it was so dark outside, and I really liked having the lights there. So I said to hubby, I'll just let them stay up for a bit longer. And I sort of took them down around the spring equinox. So I decided to hang them on the fall equinox. So why not? Hang them up on the fall equinox, take them down on the spring equinox. So I can have my own little tradition. So that's what I had for... we could, as I said, I don't have any FOs, but I think I'm allowed to not have any this time, because I've had sweaters finished. The 2 last episodes I've had sweaters finished. So besides, I've had a bad case of Castonitis. I normally do when I'm not feeling all that well. I normally cast on new things. I turn into a squirrel, new and shiny. So I cast on a lot of things. So I have more than enough whips, and I'm casting on another sweater this weekend. I'll tell you more about that later. I'll just go through my active whips first. And 2 of them aren't going to be active for much longer, because I have too many projects to work on. So I have to hibernate something. So we'll start with the 2 sweaters I have on the needles. This bag, of course, is from Sue. Anything I have that's Canadian or Canadian inspired is from Sue. This is my sea glass tea by Woolen Pine. And let's see, yes, I was just wanting to check because my screen suddenly got dark, but I just had to check that I actually had the charger in the Mac, and I do. So this is my Sea Glass Tea by Woolen Pine, and let me show you the front, not the back. I've split for the sleeves, and now I'm just going around and around. So this is going to be my me and hubby are going to a meeting tonight, and I'm going to bring this as my knitting because it's just round and round. It's 1x1 color work, but that's mindless. So I haven't decided yet what to do with this, if I'm going to keep it short sleeved or if I'm going to knit sleeves on it. And if I'm going to knit sleeves, I'll probably knit them in one solid color because, again, I'm a perfectionist. I want this to be symmetrical, and it won't be if I use this yarn. So split for the sleeves, going in the round. And I've checked, this is superwash, so I'm going to block this a lot because I think the neck is too tight, so I'm going to block this a lot, at least the neck opening, when it's finished. The yarn I'm using for this is Viking of Norway, Nordlys. I think you can get this internationally. I'll check and I'll link it below if you can. But you can use sober balls, you get the same effect if you use a Shoppel sober ball. There's a lot of manufacturers that make this sort of yarn with long color changes. So that's my Sea Glass Tea. And I have another sweater on the needles. I have too many sweaters on the needles. And as I said, I'm going to cast on another one. This is in a new bag from Annie Knitter. And you can tell I have two white cats. Or Ann Wilson. She made three bags, one for me and two for prizes, and the two bags that are for prizes in the Spooky Mal 2021. I forgot to talk about that. I can do that now, so I don't forget again. It even says in my show notes, Mals with big letters in red, and I didn't talk about it. The Spooky Mal, that's running now. It started on September 1st, and it's running until Halloween, of course, October 31st. And really simple rules, anything to do with Halloween or harvest, because not everybody celebrates Halloween. There are a few people that don't, but if you don't have any Halloween-y yarn or don't want to do a Halloween project, you can do a harvest project instead. And pumpkins goes for both. So if you want to knit some pumpkins, go ahead. They're both harvest and Halloween. So whips are allowed, and the prices, I talked about the prices before it started, but we have prices for Instagram, for the chatter thread, and 2 prizes for the FO thread. So those will be drawn at the end of October. So that was the Spooky Mal, and that's going now. And we'll talk about another make-along that's starting November 1st a bit later. So now we can talk about this sweater. And this is the Beach Life by Annie Lupton, and it's knit flat, and I finished the front, and this is the front of the sweater, and it's a V-neck, and the yarn I've used for this is a yarn I bought on sale from Hobby. It's called Safira. This is the seconds because they did something wrong when they made this yarn, it's not supposed to be this white, because this yarn is made by, I think they make a tube and they blow fibers into it. This hasn't got enough fiber in it, so it's skinnier than it's supposed to be, and it's more white than it. But I think it looks like stone-washed jeans, so I really loved it. And this is how far I've gotten on the back. And now it's back and forth in stockinette. And I showed you the wrong side on the, because it's supposed to be worn this way. It's reversed stockinette. So now it's starting to get kind of boring. Besides, it's a cotton blend, so I think this is the sweater that's going to hibernate. I think I'm just going to put it in a different bag, of course. I want to use the Halloween bag for something else. So I'm putting it in a different bag, and I'm going to hibernate this one. So I can cast on another sweater, of course. Of course I need to cast on another sweater. And my last two, both these whips are also new. And one of them is an advent project. I'll just try to find it. Where did I put it? Sorry about that. This is in an advent bag from Gibi Russos, and both these pins were gifts from Sue in Canada. And you can see why I love this Christmas bag, right? Because it's pink. So it's an advent project, so it needed to go in a Christmas bag. Hopefully I'll get this finished before the end of October, because hopefully I'm going to 2 Christmas markets this year. I'm going to one at the end of October and one at the end of November. And so I wanted to have these finished. They're not knit with my yarn or anything, and I have to go get the ones that are finished. So just a moment, I'm just going to press pause and then I'll be back. I was going to show you my Mitten Garland Advent Calendar by Kathy Lewinski, and I've finished 9 of them so far. Difficult for you to see these properly because of the light. It's blowing out. You can't see the difference between the white and the light grey, among other things. But these are the 9 first ones. I'm working on the 10th one, and one of these I have to do something about, because I maybe have to knit it again. I'm going to show you why. See this? The number 7 mitten is longer than the others. So I probably have to knit this all over again. Or maybe just rip back and knit it shorter. I counted and recounted the pattern several times, and I showed hubby this and said this is a mystery, and he just says maybe it's a gauge issue. And I just looked at him. Because who would have thought that hubby would give me the answer? Because I checked and my gauge is different on this one, and it's probably because of the patterning, because I can see the same thing is starting to happen on the number 10 mitten. Sorry about that, I knocked the microphone. And this is the number 10 mitten, and it's starting to happen again and again because of the patterning. As you can see, I'm knitting these on magic loop and on needles, 2mm needles, and I'm planning to use these as an advent calendar. I'm going to hang them up on the chimney, and I'll put a couple of tiny chocolates in each, so that me and hubby can have an advent calendar. So that's one of them. And the other long time project is in this big bag. And this bag was made for me by Busy Pottering. I don't think she has an Etsy store anymore. I'll check. And the cross-stitch embroidery on this is made by me, I think 30 something years ago. It was supposed to be a table runner, and that motif was supposed to be at both ends. And I only finished one side, and it's not entirely finished, that one either. But I thought it's too pretty, I have to use it for something. And then I realized you could perhaps put it in use it as a panel on a bag. And I contacted Busy Pottering, and she said, I'll see what I can do. So I sent her the cross stitch, and I got that back. And it's really beautiful, and it's really big, and I need a big bag for this project. And I'll show you why in a minute, but I'll show you what I have finished first. And I'm doing the Persian Dreams worsted. And I'm using all acrylic yarns because I want to be able to throw this in the washing machine. And you're supposed to use 4 or 5 different color work on this. But then Melissa from Knitting the Stash showed hers, and she used yarn with color changes in it. So that looked brilliant. And I've always loved jewel tones on black. So all the 3 ones I already knit are knit from the same ball of yarn. This is the first one I made, and this is the second one I made. Same ball of yarn. And this is the third one I made, and this isn't blocked yet, the other 2 are blocked. And still same ball of yarn. You can tell because where this one stops, this one begins. This is the outer edge of this, and it flows over into the center of this one. And I'm supposed to do 24 of these. So the original pattern has 12 different charts, so you're supposed to make 2 of each. But she also did an expansion pack, so I got that as well. So I'm going to make 24 different charts. And now I'm going to show you why this bag has to be that big. Because for the black I bought a giant 400 gram ball of acrylic. It's called Wheel of Yarn. It's from hobby.com, HOBBII, and they have an international store as well. And the color, the different, I have 2 balls that I haven't broken into yet, and it's called Carnival. So it's a single ply acrylic, and the one thing that's common for all of these is that they have purples and pinks. So that's going to be purples and pinks. What else? So that's going to be the thing that's it's going to be a bit cohesive, even though I'm using different colors. And I've started the 5th. What should I call these? Just call them hexagons, because that's what they are. And I've broken into a different ball of yarn. So that's the 5th one. And this is going to be a long-term project. I'm not sure when it will be finished, but I'm hoping it will be finished before the next blanket season starts. Another thing, I'm not doing exactly as the pattern, because the pattern tells you what order you're supposed to put them in, and that you're going to knit a border on the ones that are going on the outside. I'm just doing it like this. I leave all the stitches on the outside active, and I just put the thread through them, and then I'll decide which ones are going to go on the outside when all of them are finished, and then I'll knit the border. I might even just graft together everything and do the border afterwards. We'll see, but first I have to make 24 of these. And it's the perfect project for if you want to do some color work, and I can knit one of these in an evening. So I really enjoy this, and because of the yarn changing colors, it's kind of interesting to see what happens next. So I love this project. It's not exactly the same weight on the yarn, because the contrast color is sort of a DK, and the black yarn is a worsted, but it works. And when it comes to blocking, on my blocking mats, I look at that, the dimensions of the hexagons in the pattern, and I drew a hexagon with marker on my blocking mats on the back side of them, and I wet blocked these. I just soaked them, and then I put them inside the hexagon, and I used blocking, what you call them, the things that look like combs. I just put them on the outside, so I know that all of them are exactly the same size, so it's much easier to put them together afterwards. And that's my other long-term project. And those are my active whips. And as I said, the Beach Life sweater is probably going to hibernate for now, because I'm going to cast on a new sweater. And I'm going to cast this on. I haven't dyed a sweater quantity for myself in a long time. And the worsted sweater season is coming, and I have wanted to knit the Felix sweater for a long time. And I decided I wanted to knit it in the worsted. I'll just adapt my gauge to get it about right. And this is the Cinnamon Toast colorway. It's sort of an orangey brown, or brownish orange. Anyway, it's called Cinnamon Toast, and I dyed up myself 6 skeins of these, so I have more than enough. And if I have anything left, it of course goes into the shop. And this goes for all of you. If somebody wants a sweater quantity, I keep saying this, if you want a sweater quantity of any of my colorways, please get in touch with me and we'll figure something out. Just wanted to say that. One more thing I need to tell you. I suddenly remembered. It's getting close to the end of September, and that's the 3rd quarter of the Arctic Crafts MAL, the year-long make-along for anything made with my yarn. And anything, it goes for the entire year, but you have to, I'm only drawing from the last 3 months. That means July, August and September. So on September 30th, I'm drawing the prices for the 3rd quarter of the make-along. You don't have to have finished it during the last 3 months, but if you sometime this year have made something with my yarn that you haven't put in that thread, please do. And then I won't be drawing again until the end of December. And I'm not sure I'm going to do this as a year-long make-along next year. I will probably be doing a year-long make-along, but I'm not sure it's going to be an Arctic Crafts make-along. I'll see what I figure out. And one more thing, before I forget. I've got brain fog today, so this is going to be kind of jumpy and you have to stay with me. So that was, I just had to check my show notes. I've been talking about my whips. I've told you about what I'm going to cast on. I hope my Castonitis is going to improve soon because I'm all over the place. And the yarn for the... I forgot to show you the yarn for the advent calendar. It's drops yarn. I'll just show you one of the balls because it's all the same yarn but in different colors. It's drops fable and it's superwash and it's sock yarn. It's got it's a 75% wool, 20% polyamide, 25% polyamide. And I'm knitting these, as I said, on the 2mm needles because I want them to be properly dense, so you can put stuff in them without them being really long. And I'm going to start showing you what's coming in the mail. Both yarn for the Advent and the yarn for the Persian Dreams has come in the mail since the last time I spoke to you, but I just wanted to cast them on, so that's why I haven't shown you. I'm trying to go back and in front and trying to check where the light is best, but it's hopeless. So I'll show you what arrived in the mail from Sue. As I said, I'm not going to show you everything, but I put everything in the bag. She put everything in this bag and then put it in a box, and I love this bag. I love owls, and this is a really sturdy bag, so this is going to be something I take with me when I'm going shopping, I think. Not necessarily for groceries, but for other stuff. I'm blowing out. You have to live with the light if you're going to watch my podcast, because I've always struggled with getting the right light. I'll show you what's not for me first, because hubby really loves hot sauce, and she sent him a bottle the last time she sent me a box, and she sent him a bottle of hot sauce this time. He's already tried it, loved it, and she of course sent something for the cats as well. So she's thinking of everyone. And then we can go for what she sent me. And there's a lot of bags in here, and I'll show you a few of them. I'm not sure. Some of these might actually end up as prizes. I haven't decided yet. And by how long it's taking me to get a hold of all of this, you realize how much there is in this bag. I'll show you, the first thing I'll show you isn't for me. It's from Gingersnap. Gingersnap That wanted to donate a prize for the Spooky Mal, and they hitched a ride with the birthday box. So this is not for me, this is for one of you. And I think the light is better if I hold it here. It's called Inside My Head, and it's on the Lush fingering weight. It's 2-ply 75% merino, 25% nylon. So this wasn't for me, and this is going in the prize box because this is a prize for the Spooky Mal. And then we can go through what Sue sent me, or some of it. It has to be something Canadian every time she sends me something. There's something Canadian in here. So that's that box ticked. And there's a lot of bags made by Sue in here. And she had a fabric that I really loved. She showed me all the Halloween fabrics, and one of them I fell in love with. And it's this one. I really love this. And I really love this one. And then she didn't have enough of this to make a sweater bag for me. So she did 2 different fabrics. And I love both of them, so I really love this bag. And this is where my Felix is going. And it's got handles and it's a drawstring. So this is where my Felix is going. And I'll show you the tiny pieces because those went in this. It's a handy little needle keeper, Diagon Alley pen, and needle stoppers. And I really love these ones. And a Stay Wild badge. Put those in there so I don't lose them, because now I can put them where they're supposed to be, but I had to show them to you first. And because I loved that fabric, she made me more bags. This is her famous snap bag in the fabric I really loved, because I love this aesthetic, and it's black cats, and I don't think this is too Halloweeny. Okay, so it's orange and it's black cats, but I don't think black cats are spooky, even though this cat looks kind of angry. So I'm going to use these bags year round. And she made me a basket. She was doing a prototype of this basket and I told her, ooh, I want one of these, and she of course made me one. This is something that I'm going to have sitting beside me on the couch with maybe a couple of sock projects or stuff like that. And she didn't have enough for the entire basket, so she made these panels, and I actually think it looks better this way. So this is a basket, just dropping everything on the floor, so it's going to be quite a task to straighten up after myself. And one more snap bag with owls, and a sock sack with owls, and then a snap bag. She saw this fabric and thought of me. I don't understand why. It's pink and it has a unicorn and it says, "Bitch please, I'm a unicorn." So this is, I'm going to put a sock project in this right away. I have enough sock projects on the needles, but who says I can't have one more sock project on the needles? I'm going to go through my self-striping. I want to knit a pair of vanilla self-striping socks. So I'm not sure if you remember, I had a pair of self-striping DK socks on the needles. With yarn from Nicole C. Mendes. Well, I ripped those out because I hadn't used the contrast color for the heels. I did self-striping all the way. They didn't look exactly the same. Again, perfectionist. So I just ripped them out, and I'm going to start them again when I get hold of DK sock yarn in a color that works. I could hold fingering double, but I don't have a fingering yarn. Wait, that looks like them. I could use a grey, perhaps. I'll see what I come up with, but for the time being, that yarn is in the naughty corner, and I'm going to go through my self-striping and find a different self-striping. So I can cast on a pair of vanilla socks. That's going in this unicorn bag, and I think I'm going with pink. It has to match. So I'm putting that here because it's going to get the project. Sometime during the day, I'm going to cast on. And the last bag, and I've been wanting a bag from this shop for a long time. Ever since I saw one of these bags the first time I wanted one. Let's see if you can see the tag properly. And it's the Naughty knitting sacks. And I love these. And look at the colors in this. This also needs a project rather quickly because I want to use it. Maybe I should use this. I take a project with me in this tonight because the meeting we're going to is a meeting in the local, what you call it in English? Stamp collecting. And all the members, apart from me and hubby, are in their 60s and 70s. So if I fall down the edge on this one, because it's the naughty knitting sacks, so you know that there has to be something kind of naughty on the inside, and because it's me and because it's unicorns. I think this has to be called the Kama Sutra for unicorns or something. So fornicating unicorns. Everybody needs a bag with fornicating unicorns, right? So and I really love the closure on this. Really clever. So then there's one more thing to show you. There's more, but that I'm going to show you. There's one more thing. She sent me some progress keepers. Some of these she probably made. And we have I'll use the box in the background so you can see them. There's a maple leaf. And there's a harvest pumpkin. And we have you sense a theme here. We have a unicorn, a blingy unicorn with crystals. And the last one is the best one. Just look at that. And I'm always going to think about Sue when I use this because she has a thing for bees. And she bought 2 of these, one for me and one for herself, so we're kind of twinning. And this is from Charmed and Dangerous. And I'll of course link to her shop below, like I do for everything I talk about. So that progress keeper is also going on my new cast on. And I'm going to blame Sue for the new cast on because she has been telling me to cast it on for ages. I have said I have enough whips, and if I mention the possibility of casting it on, do it. So I'm going to cast it on, and I'm blaming Sue. As soon as I'm finished recording and editing, I'll cast that sweater on, I think. And one more acquisition I'm going to show you. This is kind of also a birthday present, but it is from me for me. I got myself some Lykke needles, and it's Lykke. Trust me, it's Lykke. I haven't got any wooden interchangeables, and for some projects I want to use wooden needles. I almost 90% of the time I use only steel needles, but for some projects this is better. Among other things, I have a whip that's not active now, the Owl Cowl by Kate Jones, and on that I knit every other stripe with just Suri alpaca. And both that and mohair, if you use only that and nothing else, wood is the best because it's not that slippery. So I'm perhaps going to cast on the Felix on wooden needles because that worsted is really soft and smooth. So maybe I'm going to use my Lykke needles on the Felix. And because I'm me, I of course got the blush set. Everything is pink. The needles are pink, the cables are pink. So this was a birthday present for me from me. And now I have enough interchangeables. Let's see, what do I have? I have one set of Sing interchangeables, Haya Haya Sharp interchangeables, Chaugu, not sure, Chaugu. I think it's pronounced Chaugu. And now I have an Adiclick set, the first interchangeable set I got. Hubby bought it in the local yarn shop for my birthday, I think 8 years ago or something. It's the Adiclick. And now I also have the Lycka wooden interchangeables. So now I don't have to use fixed circular needles almost for anything. I've been using, I have 2 or 3 wooden fixed circulars, and I have wooden DPNs, but not a lot of wooden needles. So that was an acquisition. And now I'm going to go through what's going in my shop on Sunday. And if you're not here for the selfless, it's not selfless at all, it's shameless. The shameless self-promotion. And I could mention something before I start going through this, and it's the Grinch Mal. Because I'm going to show you some this year's Christmas colorway when I'm going through the shop update, and it's related to the Christmas make-along for the year. It doesn't start until November 1st, but whips are allowed, so you can start thinking about what you want to knit. Because it's called the Grinch Mal, being Grinchy, so it's not exactly Christmas presents. It's sort of Christmas presents for yourself. If you knit something for yourself during the Advent season, and this isn't Christmassy, so if you don't celebrate Christmas, like the Grinch, go ahead. And the rules are really, really simple. Anything you knit for yourself. Anything you knit for yourself. Selfish knitting before Christmas, Grinch Mal. One exception, if it's green. So anything selfish or green. And this time I'm going to do only one thread for the entire thing. Chatter, finished object photos, everything going into one thread. And I'll use Instagram, of course. And the handle for Instagram and everything, the hashtag, we'll do that later. But I just want you to be able to start planning. If you have a if you plan knitting a sweater or something. If you have more than 50% to do, or less than 50% finished, you can add a sweater in this make along. But if it's almost finished and you only have one sleeve left, sorry. But whips are allowed. So that's it's going to be 3 prizes, I think. There might be more. That just depends on what I get hold of before then. And again, if you're a maker and you want to donate a prize for the Grinch Mal, go ahead. Just contact me. So then we're going with the shameless self-promotion. And this is what's going into the shop this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. Central European summertime. I think it's still summertime for some reason. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to save the best for last. This is a colorway that's been in my shop before, and it's called 80s Kids. And this time I've done it on merino, 75 merino, 25% nylon. And because it's blowing out about here, this is what it looks like. There are pinks and turquoises on white. So that's the 80s Kids. And I have Chaotic Good my one of a kind. I was cleaning out my pots of dye stock, and this one is really purple and pink and blue, and because it's on Corriedale non-superwash, it's more muted and more tonal than variegated. So I actually like this one. Like I always love my chaotic goods. I'm kind of that person. I like crazy colors. It's not crazy this time. But so this is my Corriedale. It's 80% Corriedale wool and 20% nylon. So that was that. And then I have some fluff, some Suri silk cloud, 2 different semi-solids. I have headless flamingo and tidal wave. And tidal wave is sort of a blue with green. And again, if you want enough of this of my Suri silk cloud to hold with some fingering for a sweater, just contact me. This is 300 meters for 50 grams. And this is, as I said, tidal wave and headless flamingo. And the headless flamingo is more pink than it looks on camera. This is more like, this is the correct color for headless flamingo. Let's try to hold this closer as well, just to see if we get the right color. And there you go, that's tidal wave. And I have, this is also Corriedale. Again, I'm having problems remembering what I've actually dyed the yarn on. This is perhaps Corriedale or Polldale. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. And this I've tried, I have a colorway called Autumn Leaves, and I tried a different technique. So it's more cohesive than it used to be. So this is Autumn Leaves. And now we're heading into a new colorway that I dyed up on several bases. Partly because I really love this color, and because I wanted to try this for the first time to launch a new colorway on several bases. And we can start with the sock sets. I'll try to hold it closer so you see the color properly. It's actually better back here, I think. It's not perfect to show a new colorway on camera when the light isn't all there, but if you check my Instagram, there's pictures on Instagram, or I can try to put one of the pictures in. I can put the pictures in here, up in the corner, so you can see the color, what it actually looks like. It's close, but not perfect on camera. This is it on zebra sock, and this is what it looks like on Suri silk cloud, and this is what it looks like on BFL sock. And maybe I should tell you what it's called. It's called Harvest Moon. And even though it's called Harvest Moon, so it's kind of appropriate for a season, I might do this all year. And I might knit myself a sweater in Harvest Moon. We'll see. So that was a new colorway, and then we'll talk about the Christmas colorway for 2021. And it's not Christmassy. Partly because I have other Christmas colorways that I'm going to put in the shop again this year. I'm going to make a section in my shop called Christmas, and I'm going to put it up October 1st. So this this yarn isn't going in the shop on Sunday, it's going in the shop on October 1st when I launch this year's Christmas. And it's green. I should have known it didn't show up properly because it's lime green. It's Grinch green. Again, I'll put up a picture so you see what it actually looks like. And as you can tell, it's Grinch green with red, green and white. And those will show up as specks on the finished socks. Or you could of course knit something else, but this is kind of a sock yarn. So, and the name for this colorway is You're a Mean One. And that is this year's Christmas colorway. Again, I'm doing a Grinchy color both because of the Grinch mal, because this is of course permitted. Even if you knit a Christmas present, if you knit a gift pair of socks, but you use this yarn, it's of course allowed in the Grinch mal because it's green. You see, it's green. And this is a hopeless way of showing this color because it's much brighter. But again, I have been putting up a picture here, hopefully, of what this actually looks like. So that's this year's Christmas color, the new Christmas color. I'll be putting up Fairy Tale of New York. I have a set of the Christmas collaboration from last year. I have a set left. I'm also putting that up October 1st, probably with a bit of reduction in the price. I might hold something back for prices for the Grinch mal. I haven't decided yet. This is me thinking out aloud when I'm doing, what should you call it, pre-stream of consciousness. While I'm doing the podcast, I make decisions on the fly while I'm sitting here filming. So that was the self-promotion for this episode, for the shop update on Sunday. Again, I apologize for the lighting, it's hopeless. The next time I'm going to try doing this after dark, so we can see what it looks like. Perhaps if there's a meeting in the stamp collecting club in 2 weeks, maybe I don't go along, because I don't collect stamps. I'm just there to, this is really old-fashioned, I'm there to make coffee and to provide cake for the coffee. So that's sort of my job. My husband is capable of making coffee. He's also capable of putting a cake on the table so people can help themselves to cake. So maybe I should do that. If there's a stamp collectors meeting in 2 weeks, I'll record the podcast while he's away doing that. But I can't just base it on that, so probably I'll just throw him out of the living room while I'm recording. So next time I'm recording a podcast, I'll try to do it after dark. Or I can try doing some Vlogtober after dark in this chair, so I can see what it looks like. I also wanted to try recording the podcast on my mobile phone because I've got a new phone. And this is supposed to have a really good camera. It's the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. It's supposed to have a really good camera. I bought a memory card that I put in it. So I'm going to try to record the podcast on my mobile phone just to see what it looks like. So maybe that's what I'll be doing. So I'll just stop talking before I bore you to death. And I'll see you, hopefully I'll see you in 2 weeks. And no, I'll see you before then, because October 1st is Vlogtober starts. And again, I'll be trying to do Vlogtober this year. I started last year, but I had to cut it short for personal reasons. But I think it's going to work out this year. So Blogtober, October 1st. So I'll see you then.